We live? We good, baby? We all right?
I think so.
We live, baby. What's going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning in to this segment of Progressive Prime Time. And I, along with Fiorella Isabel, are so pleased to have you. I know it's been a while since we've been back, but we're still here. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. Yeah. You see my voice? Yeah.
You got a bus
We
out
good.
there or something?
Hey, apparently we've been out here like DMX. Everybody says we savage. I don't know why. We're so nice to everybody. We never call anybody out whatsoever. So, what's going on, Pasta and Fee? How y'all been?
Well, before we get going, we're doing good, but we want you to check your mic. Make sure your mic is on, not your computer mic, because somebody said something.
Let me see.
Let's make sure the sound is going good.
My mic is on. It should be my computer mic. Why didn't y'all tell me that before? No, it's not. That's the whole point of doing the sound check. We did a whole sound check before this. Johnny, that's on you. Docking your pay. Let's go.
You savage. At least he caught it in the beginning of the show because it's always great to be heard, fam. Because especially when you're on the stage and you're like a long shot guy, right? Because we have a bunch of dark horses, and I've been seeing some of the videos what to expect about this person, that person.
Dark horses.
Dark horses, like these guys like Delaney, Klobuchar, Gillibrand, Inslee. What's the running back's name from Wisconsin?
Eric Swalwell.
Thought you got a problem with dark. That's all I was trying to figure out.
No.
We know Pasta ain't got no problem with dark. Anyway, so before we get started, make sure that you go to the CONVO Couches YouTube page and subscribe if you have not yet. They have a lot of clips, a lot of California-specific politics. And you all know that the California primary is in the first Super Tuesday now. So that is going to be, once again, Pasta and Fee are the authority on California politics. I don't give a damn what anybody else tells you. Go to their page and you go find out for yourself. They're not just one of these channels that tell you what's going on from their desk from the headline that they read. They're actually in the trenches talking to these people, talking to these people in charge of the elections, talking to activists, talking to delegates, talking to Congress people and otherwise, getting you that information. So whenever you want to figure out what's going on in LA leading up to the primary, especially after they cheat, which we know is probably going to happen, that's going to be where you want to get that information from. Also, we are strongly considering doing a bi-monthly live show in California in the LA area. So if you are someone who is in the LA area, I would love to know what your thoughts are about that. Do you think that would be something you're interested in? Because, well, we always have a lot of fun with y'all when we see you in person. We've been seeing a lot of you in person recently. And we were like, yo, you know what? Maybe we should just start having a show out there in LA because we love the fans and y'all love us and we like talking. And, it would be dope to have conversations in person a lot more often. So we can, and then obviously, we would love to have you all recommend us to your people in other cities and other states so we can spread the truth all around the country. So with that being said, Pasta.
Yes, sir.
You want to talk about some debate stuff. What's going on?
Yeah, well, we were talking about the darkest horse back in that last race was the whitest guy from Alaska, Senator Mike Gravel. And with the debate coming up, Nico, for me, it's like, I know Fee doesn't kind of feel it as much, but you're a sports guy like me. It's like I'm waiting for a game on Sunday. That's a big one. You know what I'm saying? I'm like this way. It's like USC versus Notre Dame and like a chance that a Fiesta Bowl is on the line. And
UNC
it comes
versus
in the form of Tulsi Gabbard versus Elizabeth Warren.
Mm-hmm. UNC versus Duke. Tulsi's UNC.
Yep. For me, it's University of Miami versus Florida State. And with UCF in the background creeping, and it's so good right now. Go Knights, as Johnny would say, Johnny Sue would say.
The only UCF fan in the history of UCF.
Yeah, well, it's getting bigger out there in Florida. You don't know about it. It's getting bigger.
Johnny's about to shut production down, so.
I know. I can see. I can't even see. I can see him.
He's over there. But listen, with this debate coming up, you've been talking about what to expect from certain candidates. Me and Johnny did a breakdown. We've been talking a lot of what to expect from Elizabeth Warren. Fee's been grabbing some savage stuff, some great stuff. And for us, we're like highlighting the Wednesday debate as Elizabeth Warren versus Tulsi Gabbard. But we have all these other people in the race, and they got to make a statement because it might be one and done for them. So we went back to the last big debates, and Mike Gravel on stage was just so ahead of his time. He was so savage. So we got about 4 clips that we wanna show you, Nico, and show the audience and just break this down.
Okay, sounds good, man. Let's check out what Gravel was saying back in the day.
Thank you. And Senator Gravel, for those who may not be familiar with your past, 2 terms U.S. Senate from Alaska, you played a role in the fight to cut off money for the Vietnam War. What would be your advice, Senator, for the elected officials on this stage who are at a conflict, opposed to the conflict, but also feel the need to keep on funding the conflict?
Well, first off, understand that this war was lost the day that George Bush invaded Iraq on a fraudulent basis. Understand that. Now, with respect to what's going on in the Congress, I'm really embarrassed. So we passed, and the media is in a frenzy right today with what has been passed. What has been passed? George Bush communicated over a year ago that he would not get out of Iraq until he left office. Do we not believe him? We need to find another way. That's where I really would like to sit down with Pelosi and with Reid, and I would hope the other senators would focus on how do you get out? You pass a law, not a resolution, a law, making it a felony to stay there. And I'll give you the text of it. And if you're worried about filibuster, here's what you do tactically. They can pass it in the House. We got the votes there. In the Senate, let them filibuster it. And let Reid call up at 12 o'clock every day to have a cloture vote and let the American people see clearly who's keeping the war going and who's not. And that's just the beginning of the tactic if they're tough enough to do it.
Senator.
Boom, right? Like calling out Pelosi, huh?
Look, okay, we just had this conversation before we started. If Gravel was 20 years younger, not even 20, hell, 10 years younger, if this speech was given in 2019, he would be president in 2020.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, people, what you were saying is so important because people think you win the debate by, the next day, the mainstream will say this was the clear winner, and they'll use those exact words, right? The clear winner. They will say that Elizabeth Warren's the victor. Mm-hmm. That is not going to be what determines who's the victor. Who goes viral on Twitter the next day? Who goes viral on Facebook the next day? Who goes viral on YouTube? What is the speech that is covered universally by all the platforms, good or bad? That is the victor. Because that's who's going to win the fundraising battle, and that's who's going to win the crowd battle. And the best way to do it is we got to put names to these ridiculous and irresponsible policies.
Yep.
Pasta.
Well, I'm going to pass it to Fee because I know Fee got some stuff to say because my mind is also too like Gravel was one of the least person to talk on stage. So, but before I get to my analysis, let me let Fee go. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I think it's been said. I mean, he's, he is like a Bernie Sanders in that sense where he is calling out the military-industrial complex, same as Tulsi. And he's been kind of shouting this for a while. And it's really interesting how a lot of people didn't really know about him or about Bernie, but there's all these videos that have just kind of resurfaced. And we're just like, how the hell did these people do it alone in a Congress that is so, like, they're so ahead of their time. They're so ahead of their time.
Yeah, I would even say Gravel was ahead of his time. I would say that, as much as I love Bernie, Gravel has that intuition that I wish Bernie had sometimes. I see a lot of Tulsi in Gravel.
Yeah.
I see it as far as the anti-war, as far as the pragmatism side, I see a lot of Bernie in Gravel, or Gravel and Bernie in that regard, because he isn't just going to tell you this is what needs to be done. He's going to say, this is how we do it. We need public free college. This is how you do it. You tax, 25% on trade speculation, and you break it down so that the average American can understand. And once again, it's not like he was ineffective, but like I said, I was 18, 19 years old in 2008, 2009. And I remember seeing him, didn't know what his name was. I remember like, yo, this dude's he's crazy. Like the stuff he's talking is too common sense, but I forgot about him. Why? Because the mainstream stopped they didn't talk about any of this stuff.
Right.
Now in today's culture, you call Nancy Pelosi like that on stage, oh, you're gonna be talked about.
Yeah.
In one way or the other, because we're kind of an outrage culture. So, but it breaks my heart that Gravel didn't get the coverage that he needed. But it does give me some solace that like our youth found him, right? The young generation, younger than all of us, were like, yo, this dude's on point. We need to make sure his message can re-enter the mainstream conversation, even if we have to do all the legwork, because he's already did enough of the work.
Yeah.
So the Gravel college students getting involved and reminding us that you're kind of reminding us where we came from is impressive, because it lets me know that where you and I might fall short, the next generation is more than willing to pick back up.
Yeah.
And they're willing to do it now. They're not trying to wait till they're 25, 26, 30 years old, 35 years old. They're doing it now because they understand what's at stake. So that offers me a lot of hope.
And you know what? The great thing about the internet is that we have the receipts, right? We have the receipts of what he said. It didn't have as big impact back then, but now it's coming back around to fruition because it's there. It's the receipts. And that's why I think, before we play this next clip, when people say, oh, you know what, if Tulsi does good on Wednesday, it's going to be dead in the news cycle by Thursday. It's going to be forgotten about. I'm like, no, because if she says something great and it goes viral, it will be played nowadays on the internet over and over and over again. So will being calling out candidates. Now watch this as Gravel calls out some candidates.
At a forum earlier this year, I want to get this right. You said it doesn't matter whether you are elected president or not. So then why are you here tonight? Shouldn't debates be for candidates who are in the race to win the race?
Ryan, you're right. I made that statement. But that's before I had a chance to stand with them three times. It's like going into the Senate. You know, the first time you get there, you're all excited. My God, how did I ever get here? Then about 6 months later, you say, how the hell did the rest of them get here? And I got to tell you, after standing up with them, some of these people frighten me. They frighten me. When you have mainline candidates that turn around and say that there's nothing off the table with respect to Iran, that's code for using nukes, nuclear devices. I got to tell you, I'm President of the United States. There will be no preemptive wars with nuclear devices. To my mind, it's immoral, and it's been immoral for the last 50 years as part of American foreign policy.
Let's use a little moderator discretion here. Senator Gravel, that's a weighty charge. Who on this stage exactly tonight worries you so much?
Well, I would say the top-tier ones. The top-tier ones. They've made statements. Oh, Joe, I'll include you too. You have a certain arrogance. You want to tell the Iraqis how to run their country. I got to tell you, we should just plain get out. Just plain get out. It's their country. They're asking us to leave, and we insist on staying there. And why not get out? What harm is it going to do? Oh, you hear the statement, well, my God, the soldiers will have died in vain. The entire deaths of Vietnam died in vain. And they're dying in vain right this very second. And you know what's worse than a soldier dying in vain is more soldiers dying in vain.
Boom. And Joe Biden, a donkey raising his hand up to be picked on. Like, yeah, I'm the warmonger down here. Get on me.
And the crowd actually clapped loudly after that, right? If I recall.
Decent. I mean,
And it's
not enough.
And I want to say, by the way, when he sits there and says there's a certain, because it's ironic how Joe Biden, like 10 years ago now, having the same people saying the same thing about you. Boy, you are so damn arrogant. You think you know what's best, and you talk down to people as if like you have some type of divine authority over them. I know what's best for them. I know what's best for those black people. I know what's best for those women. Yeah. And I know what's best for those Iraqis. I know what's best for those Iranians. And once again, which is probably why I see so much of, which is why I love Mike, and I guess that's why Mike probably endorsed that. In that regard, how I feel about keeping our house clean. We talk about it on this network all the time. I can't walk into somebody's house and be like, man, what the hell? Your house dirty as hell, dog. Like, I can't do that if I know back at home my dishes ain't clean. They're not taken care of. Mm-hmm. I got no right to talk. So for Mike to understand, like, look, okay, the Republicans, we already know what time it is over there. If I'm going to wear this logo as a Democrat, especially as a senator, then I have to let people know when someone is using the idea of what we are supposed to be against their best interests. And that is so important. That's why people get mad because we really don't give a fuck. We call out everybody and anybody we have to. I call out Sam Cedar and David Pakman pretty regularly, even Anna when we have to. But the truth of the matter is, somebody got to. Why? For the same reason that Mike Gravel had to call out Joe Biden. For the same reason that we have to call out Elizabeth Warren. Because some people have this idea that some people are on our team and they're not. Sam Cedar, for example, regularly trashes Jimmy Dore, who was more anti-war at that tier of influence than Jimmy Dore, who has been more honest, who has had to go through more adversity without being propped up like Sam Cedar, who was literally propped up by MSNBC, then propped up by TYT, then back to MSNBC, collecting a check from everybody.
Yeah.
Jimmy went out on a line. He went on a limb to tell the truth after being on a network who at the time refused to tell it. And yet, Sam constantly goes at Jimmy by name. How many times have you heard Jimmy Dore mention Sam Cedar's name? How many times? Anybody?
I mean, one time a long time ago when he took the phone call while he was
because they were debating.
But that's very rarely does he ever talk about Sam Cedar.
When has he dedicated a show to Sam Cedar on his own channel? He's never dedicated a segment. He's never spent 30 minutes. And so what that means is, hold up, something don't make sense. I thought that he was the divisive one. I thought that Jimmy was the unhinged one. I thought that Jimmy was the one who's actually what part of the quote unquote dumb left. I thought that's what they say. So why is it that Jimmy never attacks Sam, no matter how often Sam attacks Jimmy? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why is that? Because Jimmy has more important battles to fight.
Yeah.
And same thing with Mike Gravel. Mike Gravel had to hold people accountable. He had to hold his side accountable. When Jimmy was on TYT, Jimmy was on aggressive progressives saying people right here at this network are agreeing with this dickhead Adam Schiff about the Russiagate thing. When remember the Tucker Carlson Adam Schiff interview, and he was on aggressive progressives, and they put him they put his ass right behind the paywall after that. I ain't forget that. They're like unlist.
And Nico, you talking about Mike Gravel calling out people. Check out this clip here. He calls out the military-industrial complex after he calls out the candidates. He don't leave anybody out. That's why I love this guy.
Check it out.
Other than Iraq, three most important enemies to the United States.
We have no important enemies. What we need to do is to begin to deal with the rest of the world as equals. And we don't do that. We spend more as a nation on defense than all the rest of the world put together. Who are we afraid of? Who are you afraid of, Brian? I'm not. And Iraq has never been a threat to us. We invaded them. I mean, it is unbelievable. The military-industrial complex not only controls our government, lock, stock, and barrel, but they control our culture.
Gravel, your 2 terms in the Senate representing Alaska sat on top of course, a huge reserve of...
That was it. That was just called out the military-industrial complex right there.
Man,
Fam?
See, look, Mike is out here. Mike, he's like Jay-Z, right? The OG of the rap game, and he laid out the blueprint.
He did.
You know, at the time where they thought that wasn't going to be successful, well, 2019 is a different year.
Yeah.
Tulsi goes in speaking like that. Bernie goes in speaking like that. Hell, if even Andrew Yang goes in speaking like that, you come out the victor, no matter which stage you're on.
Yep.
Fee, what do you think?
I just think that the Democratic Party doesn't see it that way. They're going to push the centrists. That they're still pushing the idea that, you need to placate to the center. You need to placate to the third way. And they're going to do everything they can to make it look like that's the way to go. And if they continue that, they are going to lose. Simple as that. They are going to lose badly to Donald Trump. So
do you have any strategy that you believe either? Well, you the one first of all, pause. Everybody, I want y'all to do this real quick, and I need y'all to bow down to Fiorella. I need y'all to bow down to her. Because, like I always say, you want to find out what's going to happen in 3, 4, 5 months from now from the establishment, you come to MCSC Network. Because how long Fee been telling y'all this is exactly what they're about to do to Elizabeth Warren? She's a spoiler. She's the one supposed to be put in place to take down Bernie. And over the next couple of months, you are going to see them try and literally replace Bernie with Warren. And what are the headlines saying right now? Literally.
Yeah, they're all shifting to support Warren. Because she's a compromise, and a lot in really pissed me off was that a bunch of people here started pushing Warren, and of course all of TYT, and they're saying, oh, we're progressive, we're this. Warren's a progressive. No, the fuck no, she's not. She's not a progressive at all. She doesn't even come close
Green
to being
bombs.
like Bernie.
Green
Green bombs.
But
Green
no,
bombs.
that you're attacking Warren. You're
Attacking
you
a fellow
you
progressive.
Bernie bros are like this. This is why no one likes you. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Talking policy and talking about her shortcomings and giving you telling you what they're actually doing, how they're manipulating it. Because for some of us, it's really obvious what they're doing, and it's just ridiculous that people keep falling for it. They want you to accept that this is the best we got and that's it. Because as long as they have someone like Warren that can pretend to be a progressive and they can give you a few crumbs, then they're fine and business will continue as usual. She's not going to change the system.
Wow.
I think that's going to get exposed during the debate.
I'm going to make a quick clip of that shit. Because that was so on point. They just give you a couple crumbs. And once again, that was the compromise between, and I thought it would be like Kamala Harris, but the compromise came in the form of Elizabeth Warren. And you had talked about it, that they wanted this woman to run for president back in the days, and instead they got Hillary Clinton. So, but now they are again, remanifested. Yeah. And the thing that's really just drives me crazy about this woman is that she's so bad on foreign policy. She's for regime change, which means she's for sanctions. And here's this last clip of Mike Gravel explaining sanctions back then. Check this out, Neeks. No. 604 to 641.
Gravel, 30 seconds, please.
No, with respect to Iran, we've sanctioned them for 26 years. We scared the bejesus out of them when the president says they're evil. Well, you know something? These things don't work. They don't work. We need to recognize them. And you know something? Who is the greatest violator of the Non-Proliferation Treaty? The United States of America. We signed a pledge that we would begin to disarm, and we're not doing it. We're expanding our nukes. Who the hell are we going to nuke?
Senator,
tell me, Barack. Barack, who are you want to nuke?
I'm not planning to nuke anybody right now, Mike. I promise you.
Good. We're safe then for a while.
He goes, we're safe for a little while. Oh, thanks, Barack.
Hey, just like he won't plan on invading anybody right now, huh?
Yeah.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
We should pull out. Well, hold up real quick, y'all. Let me talk to you. We can't really pull out just yet. That's what happened. He said pull out of Afghanistan. He kind of pulled out, but then he took them and put them right in Syria.
Yep, he did. Yeah, and just really quickly, they got this last clip of him because I just want to piggyback on the sanctions so we can get off this subject. But look what he says on the Jimmy Dore show. He puts a point to it because we've been saying on this network, Pompeo's leaked phone call. Okay, they have no opposition. It's time to lift the sanctions now, because just so we stop going for regime change is not enough. These sanctions kill the poor people. Take a look real quick.
Right now, they're getting ready to destroy Iran again, and it feels to me like people will see through this one. Or enough people will see through this, because it seems like enough people saw through Venezuela and Syria to stop it, right? So we didn't go to war in Syria. We did clandestine war, but not a stated war. And
but that's war. But Jimmy, that's war. And when we do these sanctions, that's war.
Yes.
Make no mistake about it. We're killing about 40,000 plus kids in Venezuela right today as we talk. And to kill that many people and say that that's not war is really burying your head in the sands. And we do the same thing. You recall what happened under Bill Clinton. We killed 500,000 kids, and Madeleine Albright said
it was worth it.
That's what they call collateral damage. This is not collateral damage. We go around the world and sanction people at will if they don't really hone to our leadership. Now, of course, the tyrants, they just suck up to us and we protect them, and we don't talk about any sanctions. The use of sanctions is the abuse of our having the dollar is the tool of global monetary system. Now,
but you see what I'm saying? He explained it all back then. I mean, and he comes back to it again. Sanctions are an act of war. And I can't wait. I really hope that, Tulsi talks about sanctions and lifting them on that stage and bringing more light to the situation. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I want to say, even though the overall theme is basically trying to help people understand what we should be looking for in the debates, but from Mike Gravel's perspective, I mean, obviously Mike Gravel is no spring chicken. And the more I've researched Mike Gravel, obviously we have the interview with him. Almost feel like we had, and not just him, but what he represents. We can't be tired yet, right? We can't be. Mike Gravel's been on the right side of history with nobody watching for longer than literally all of us have been alive. Yeah. And Pasta ain't no spring chicken either. Might be a summer rooster, but he ain't no spring chicken.
I'll take summer rooster.
He might be a summer cock, but
wait.
So with
this is a family show, Nico.
Not and so
a family show.
In seriousness, we have so many people who have laid down the foundation for us. We got it easy. We have it easy. We have a platform. We have an independent media platform. I don't have to go to CNN, go on CNN for you to know who I am. She doesn't have to go on MSNBC to know who she is, and we get exhausted, we get frustrated, we get tired, but because of the foundation that was laid before us, the blueprint that was laid before us, we have a responsibility, all of us. We have a responsibility to tell the truth. You have a responsibility to go learn the truth, not only here, but in every aspect, through every avenue you can learn it through. Because those Pentagon papers, Mike Gravel is largely responsible for them being made public.
Yeah.
He was about to be jailed by the Supreme Court, and then Richard Nixon changed his mind because he said it would be a bad look for the election. Because obviously, if you get a senator to explain why he's being held up by the Supreme Court, he's going to talk about the Pentagon papers. So but when you're talking about the things that we know about the CIA at this point, things that Tulsi speaks to, when you're talking about the things that we've learned about the medical industry, things that Bernie have been fighting for such a long time, these people have set such a great foundation for us to build upon that it would be a damn shame if we capitulated to these incrementalists who are constantly telling us, well, vote blue no matter who. Yeah. When the people who have laid the foundation for us said, we tried that. Look where we've ended up. You're still fighting the same battles we were fighting 40 and 50 years ago. Yeah. It doesn't work. But if you look at what we've experienced, look at the things that we've learned, you can do it different. And anyone telling you to not do it different, they're full of shit. They're profiting off of the status quo. And I don't care if they call themselves progressive or Democrat, whatever. You have to understand something. It's all a psyop at the end of the day, whether or not it's intentional or it's unintentional. They are still profiting off of the status quo. Why? Because what they do is they say, well, no, we're different from them. But so progressives say that they're different from all the other Democrats. That the Democrats say they're different from Republicans. But question, whenever the Venezuela situation popped off, what was the main message that was still being pushed? They will say, well, I don't want to invade Venezuela, but Maduro's still an evil dictator. Yeah. He's still messed up. So they still manufacture consent, right? Same thing for the same type of progressives. Well, I love Bernie, so I'm progressive. Well, what do you think we should do in 2020 if Bernie loses or Tulsi loses? Oh, we got to vote for Biden if we have to. Wait a minute. Whoa, how can you say that? Because the status quo keeps them paid.
Yeah.
They
Tank
are not
keeps his job.
Exactly. You get to then complain about how bad Biden is while people suffer from it. Because why are they suffering from it? Because you told them to vote for him. What the fuck? Instead, guess what Gravel would say? Hell, we don't got to go for Gravel. Guess what Tulsi would say? Oh, no. Bring that back. We need to challenge these elections because there's some sketchy behavior taking place here. We need to secure our elections. We don't need to just talk about Russia. We need to make sure that we really can't be hacked in the future in case that may happen. We need to pull out we don't want to talk about, you don't talk about immigration and visas until you start talking about coups. and military intervention.
Yep.
You know, these are the conversations we need to be having, because people like Gravel have already showed us that the conversation that these mainstream narratives try to push, these neoliberal lights try to push, those are the same conversations that they were having back in the day. And it's just now it's on YouTube instead of CNN and MSNBC. And then they preface their statements, well, but I'm anti-war, but Maduro's an evil dictator. Well, I'm anti-war, but Iran's a tyrannical regime. Well, I'm anti-war, or I love Bernie, but Assad bombed those people. No, we already have the blueprint, people. We already have the blueprint, to the point where we tried to claim Iran bombed that tanker. And guess what everybody in the world did? What? Boy, you better. Really? Did they really bomb the tanker, though? Yeah!
That was a meme, yeah. That was a meme.
Literally how everybody felt. Go ahead, Fee.
Nico, I wanted to move on to a little bit of the concentration camps, right? Quote unquote, the concentration camps. Because this is kind of controversial for some people. And I kind of wanted to lay out how I feel about it because, you know, as an immigrant, I definitely agree that these are a form of concentration camps. You can look back historically and look at the history of how we put the Japanese in concentration camps. You can look at the history of what we did with Native Americans, and technically it is. But the point I wanted to make was that the Democratic Party is once again tokenizing immigrants. It's tokenizing Latinos and people of color to yet again point at the Republicans being a bad guy. And my problem is we're so busy discussing like if it's a concentration camp or if it isn't, and we're so busy doing all these things that we're not actually solving the issue. And the issue is goes a lot deeper than just immigration. So I have a tweet here. I have two actually. So I have one that says, "The America is more outraged at a country defending itself from our wrath by destroying a drone than by the bombs we drop on people worldwide," which is entirely true. I mean, people are like, how dare they destroy our drone? We should attack them. And then we're also more interested in debating the semantics of the words concentration camp than stopping what's actually happening in them. And the thing is, by that, I mean that we need to pay attention to who the Democrats are pushing. If you're pushing Biden, if you're pushing Warren, if you're pushing any other establishment type of Democrat, you don't give a fuck about immigrants, because they're going to go and continue business as usual, and they're going to be pushing for regime change wars, and they're going to be causing coups that in turn cause these mass migrations into here. And it's going to take us completely in the same direction we've been in time and time again. And Mike Gravel knows this, Tulsi knows this, and Bernie Sanders has been speaking out against Iraq. He actually went off on that. And so the tweet says, "I'm an immigrant. The hypocrisy of the Democratic Party is gross. They're clutching their pearls at the concentration camps at the border, but they don't care to stop regime change wars and prop up pro-war neoliberals and neocons that cause this to happen. They don't give a fuck. Obama set up the system and cages that allows Trump to hold these families in. I go to the border. Many Hondurans know who brought chaos to their country in 2009 with a coup. I'm done with their tokenizing people of color. Stand by them all the way, or you don't get to feign your outrage or your concern." So what do you guys think about that? Like,
Nah, I mean, I 100% agree. Pasta, you got something you want to say before I go? Can I just talk about it?
Go ahead, go, because definitely.
So the idea that we can complain about the semantics of the word concentration camp is like, it's just like what Elon said all about the Benjamins. Oh, what was it, a play on words? Was she talking about the Jews? No. What she was saying was that there's too much monetary influence over politics, and that's what we should be outraged about. What the point that AOC was trying to make was that even to the point where I feel like I have to say concentration camps to get you all to pay attention means that there is a grander issue that we need to be discussing, and pretending that you're outraged about the words concentration camps is disingenuous. What you're really uncomfortable with the idea about is, once again, because if you talk about the concentration camps, those concentration camps didn't get built 2 years ago, right? They didn't get filled. I mean, they kind of got filled 2 years ago, most at least to capacity, but they didn't start getting filled 2 years ago, right? The immigrants didn't just start migrating 2 years ago. The coups didn't start happening 2 years ago. You have to talk about what your beloved Obama did. You have to critique the most popular Democrat in modern history. You have to basically say, if you're an established Democrat, we were silent as our country, or as our president authorized covert operations in Central and South American countries that caused the mass displacement and even deaths of poor people, usually brown people. And what a lot of people don't ever get to talk about is the activists who died trying to stand up to our regime. Those are the conversations that need to be had. I tweeted yesterday. I said, if I had one wish for Christmas, if I get one gift, it will be to put every single one of these war criminals in jail and read off 8 hours a day, every single day for the rest of their lives, every single death, the name of every single death they are responsible for. Every single one of them. Hell, we got to start making up names. I don't care. But there needs to be names, faces. Like, we talk about camps, but we don't talk about the kids in the camps. We don't talk about where they come from. We don't talk about what they for some reason always seem to look like. Why are all the kids in the fucking camps brown, but all the migrants in the Venezuelan migrants in Miami white?
Yeah.
Why are they not in cages?
Yeah.
Why are they not being pulled over? Why are they not being targeted? Why aren't we having that conversation? Why are they able to come here, start businesses, take over half of Miami? Why are the white Cubans able to do the same thing? Why aren't they in concentration camps? I wonder why. Because there's an incentive to target, because of who is hired to be in. Why aren't we talking about what Mark Lane shines some light on, that the ICE agents are literally acting as human traffickers, dropping children, young women in the middle of nowhere, where human traffickers come to pick them up? In this administration, where people think that Trump is actively fighting human trafficking, when he is enabling it, he is funding it. Why is that not the conversation that we're having? But no, let's talk about the semantics of a word.
Yeah. A lot of red herrings out there too. It's like you have these conversations that just don't mean anything. It's like when, a lot of those those hardcore right-wing Republicans are so anti-abortion, yet they never have a conversation about, well, how do you really fix that? Through education, through strengthening the economy, then there'll be, less unwed babies. It's the same thing when you talk about, the acts of what's going on in these concentration camps. You can't have that conversation unless you're talking about what started in the first place. And Fiorella talked about it in the tweet, what happened in 2009. And like you said, they just don't want to open up the curtain and talk about Obama. So, I mean,
exactly.
This is where we're at, but we have to continue to force these conversations.
And that's why you got to give
on the debate stage.
And that's where you got to give AOC some credit. And I feel kind of bad for her in this situation, because she really was trying to explain, like, look at the condition these children are living in. And what do they start talking about? How could she use that word? That word is more important than the children part? The concentration camp part is more important than the children part. It's ridiculous.
But also, let me add, she did say, when it came to Venezuela, I will delegate to the caucus leaders, which was a bullshit thing to say.
That was bullshit. Yeah.
And because that's the whole point, is like, okay, if you're going to delegate to caucus leadership who is pro-war, why are you still complaining about these kids in cages? You are still continuing that cycle. And to me, it's just not enough to complain about kids in cages if you're not really going to solve the core issue of the problem. And and I get what she's saying, and I agree we shouldn't be discussing the semantics. We should be fixing the problem, but fixing the problem also includes pushing and electing people that are not Warren, people that are like Tulsi, talking about regime change wars, people like Bernie, people like Ravel. Those people are the ones we should be pushing. Instead, we're pushing the same neocons and neoliberals who, like, okay, you can say how Republicans are so much worse, but really, you're pushing the same people that are going to let this happen. And it's really, like, I'm done with that kind of hypocrisy.
Hey, she's got a plan. She's got a plan.
Yeah, she got a plan, all right.
Got a plan.
I'm not sure if we will survive the plan. And I would just say this. Like I said, y'all know I have mixed feelings about AOC for the most part. I think she has a good heart. I think she has bad people around. In fact, we know she has bad people around her. Somebody who's worked with the Justice Democrats was pretty, they elaborated on how bad the people are around her, and they're guiding her in the wrong direction. But at the end of the day, AOC is educated. She's intelligent. And she's playing the game when it comes to, we should be talking about the kids, but like what Fiorella just said, AOC, you know damn well as I do, this shit didn't start with Trump, and it didn't start at our border. So if we're going to talk about the kids in the cages, if you're going to stop at Trump, then don't talk about it at all.
Yeah. And
that's because at this point, it looks like once again you're tweeting to get attention, to basically profit, not literally profit, but at least as far as her popularity is concerned, off of outrage culture that is prominent on Twitter, so that you can make a headline. And ultimately, hell, look at the conversation we just had. It just became about AOC again, right? Instead of about the issue. And she's intelligent enough, she's held a Twitter class. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm glad you talked about the kids. I hate that it got the debate became about the concentration camp comment, because in a lot of ways she was correct about that. But if you're just using this as a way to attack the Trump administration, and then stop at, oh, it's Trump. What about the whole overthrowing governments part? What about the fact that it didn't start with Trump? What about the fact we can't figure out what our conclusion is without understanding and acknowledging where the beginning started?
Yeah.
And,
well, I think concentration camp can't be for one group of people, which, in our history, when we think concentration camp, we only think of one type of concentration camp. No, that shit's going on our border right now. There's a concentration camp. So there is some positive for her saying that. But once again, what Fee just echoed, the fact that she stayed away from it. We have a hard out, Nico. We got to go to the restaurants.
Man. So first of all, once again, make sure everybody subscribes to the CONVO Couch. Make sure you subscribe here as well, but make sure you subscribe to the CONVO Couch. Go follow Pasta on Twitter at YoPasta, Fiorella at Fiorella Isabella, and you already know where mine is. I'm at Nico CSFB. We can continue the conversation there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody for the super chats. Tune in next Thursday is going to be a big episode.
Yeah.
Because
that's Wednesday. We got our thing. We're going to be streaming it live, so you don't have to follow with TYT or MSNBC or CNN. Just join the CONVO Couch. We're going to start doing these. Listen, we did this. We started this because we wanted to provide options, independent, alternative media, so you don't have to watch those donkeys analysis. You get the real analysis over here.
Hey, fuck what Pasta just said. He's saying it nice. We did this, so you ain't got to watch the motherfuckers no more. You can watch us.
Plus,
Pasta's the nice one out of all
glasses.
of us.
People liked Pasta and the glasses, so that's why he decided.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I have a little bit of a hearing problem.
I know.
Shut up.
Pasta's a nice one. Pasta's a nice one, everybody. Yeah, I mean, we just wanted to provide options for you, so you don't have to, you can choose who you want to go to. And damn all that. Watch your news here. Pasta and Fee know more than 90% of all the other people on the internet. We got this. We do our research. We're gonna bring you the truth. Hey, somebody got to. If you can look at the other options, but it's to figure out how they're gonna deceive you. And then you come right over to MCSC Network. We'll give some context to that lie they just told. And with that being said, people, y'all got anything else to tell them?
Nope.
All right, good stuff. All right, people. With that being said, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.